Hey, welcome back to the channel. I am really glad you're here on this beautiful morning. We finally had a little bit of rain last night, and I mean a little bit. I mean just enough to wet the ground, but I swear already the grass looks greener. You know, you can irrigate all you want, but there's just something magical about real rain. It seems like everything does better when it rains. So that's going to help out the grass and some of the wildflowers that we planted around here. I've got some things to do today and just kind of running around getting some projects done, and I thought, why not take you along for the ride? Got to run to the county landfill. We've been cleaning up the property and getting rid of some old just debris that's laying around, and I've got some other things I want to do. So thanks for being here and stick around. These are red Scarlet runner beans. They're not, I don't think they're edible in any way, but they grow viney and produce a red flower that hummingbirds like. So I planted them all along this fence, hoping that they would kind of trail up to the fence and make a nice little backdrop. I think I planted them too late to really get the visual that I wanted by this time of year, but hopefully they'll still come up this summer. So that's the first time for those, and that could be kind of fun to see. Some of this fence is coming down, which is part of what I'm taking to the landfill today, and I was doing the math on this, and my mom died when I was 24 years old, and I put this fence up while she was still alive because we had gotten a Newfoundland. If you don't know what a Newfoundland is, it's like a St. Bernard, only it's all black, but still kind of a messy dog, lots of slobber, but a sweet disposition. So, but we adopted the dog as an adult. It was a runner, so we put this fence up, or I put this fence up all by myself, and that means I must have been about 22 years old, maybe even 20 years old, which means this fence has been standing here now for about 35 years. And I didn't know what I was doing. It was probably one of my first big projects I did as a young adult. I used treated 1x6s, which are kind of flimsy. I used landscape ties for fence posts, which I wouldn't recommend today because treated lumber is not what it used to be. Back when they used to inject the wood with good old arsenic, stuff would hold up to anything. Anyway, it has held up pretty well, but you know, some of the boards are warped, and of course Hachi now, she's a free range dog, and for some reason she does not go near the road, and she stays kind of on the property within certain bounds, but she's pretty good. So, and the fence really can't hold her in anyway. But anyway, I just thought this was kind of interesting looking back to think about 35 years. That's amazing. I just remembered too about these insulators on top of the fence. You know, Bailey, who was the Newfoundland, big dog. This is a 4-foot high fence, and she was such a runner that she would get her paws and she would actually climb over the fence and run away. It was really, really frustrating. I could not keep her in. Spent a lot of money, a lot of time building a really tall fence and putting wire and whatnot, and she would get out no matter what. So eventually I had to put these insulators along the fence post, and I ran an electric wire across the top. I hated to do it, but she only touched it one time and then she learned. But it's funny, these old insulators are still here, old ceramic insulators. Cross your chains, always cross your chains. Remember this story? When I left my tailgate down and drove the trailer, and every time I turned, the jack dug into the tailgate, made a nice little mark. I used to have a fence across here between the garage and the house, and there was a gate right there. There was some sidewalk, but not like this. And there is my handcrafted gate from 35 years ago. Again, held up really well, but now it's time to move on and be buried deep in the archives of garbage. The county will not accept your load if you don't have it covered with a tarp. Darn government regulations keeping our roads clean. That ought to do it. I never thought that I would like these covers as much as I do, but it's really handy for keeping things dry in the back of the truck, and they fold back easy enough and even come off if you need to. And one thing I did was I added one of these expandable rods, and I keep it in the back of the truck here, only about a foot deep or so. Then I throw some milk crates in here, and it keeps the milk crates from sliding forward and getting lost. I throw chains and tie downs and whatnot, and sometimes just keep some empty crates in here too, and it works out really well. I like it. I think someone wants to go for a ride. Want to go for a ride? A few more bungees, and we're set to go. Update on Hachi's skunk episode. Well, the other day she got skunked in the woods, and it was horrible. It's the second time it's happened to her in about, last time might have been 5 years ago or so. Just terrible. So we tried the solution that we found on the internet. The number one solution seemed to be hydrogen peroxide with baking soda and a little bit of dishwashing liquid. So we did that. We did it twice, scrubbed the heck out of her, and you know, it eased it up a bit, but it was still there. So then I bought something on the internet on Amazon called Smelly Ease. It kind of just looked like crushed up kitty litter, but it's a natural product, and I rubbed that all over her. Basically made her turn gray because of this gray powder. Rubbed it all in, and I don't know. I think the only thing that really works is time. They have to shed out that hair because it's still there. And it may have been a mistake to take her on this ride with me because she still smells, especially in a confined space.
$15.31.
All right. You know, last time I was here, I dropped the cord down that grate.
We got it for you.
Yes, absolutely. Have a good one.
All right, buddy.
Take care now. $15 to get rid of a load of garbage. It's not too bad. I don't know how much they charge per ton. I didn't really look at it, but that's about what I expected it to cost because it was a relatively small load. And a lot of that stuff, you know, I could have burned it, but you know, I don't like to have the debris after burning with a lot of nails and screws and things like that. So it's easier just to get rid of it sometimes. And you know, this landfill is good for if you have to get rid of construction debris, shingles, those kind of things. So works out pretty well. Anyway, first chore of the day, done. Well, since the trailer's empty, I thought I'll just run on over to the local mulch factory and pick up a load of mulch. Don't stop, just keep going. Just keep going. Not too bad. Well, that tarp kind of worked out okay. I think if I'm going to do this some more, I should make some little sides for that trailer, even some light plywood just to hold things in. But otherwise, 1 yard, that's a good amount of mulch. So I'm back home, I'm looking at this tarp, and I think this is actually a pretty good way to move this mulch. If you look here, if I just were to have evened up the tarp, I could have folded one side over and kind of stitched it together in the middle, but it works pretty well. Had that little blowout there, but I was able to capture it, and then the other side looks really good. And that just held everything in place. So I think that's going to work out pretty well for moving mulch. And that is 1 yard, which is like a pickup truck full, which is pretty darn nice. This mulch came from the same mulch plant where I got those IBC totes, at least a couple of them from there. So if you have a mulch plant in your area, go talk to them, because they use a lot of those IBC totes. The dye for the mulch comes in those, and they end up with lots of them in the yard, and some places may give them to you, other places may sell them cheap. They weren't too cheap for me. I think they charged me $50 a piece, which I think was kind of high. Then I had a friend who happens to be in the irrigation business, and he gets totes full of liquid fertilizer, so he gave me a couple of them, so that was pretty nice too. But if you do need a tote, go talk to one of the mulch companies if you have one nearby, and see if you can get a tote from them or buy one cheap. I didn't think I wanted the black mulch. I was going to get the brown, but when I was there, the black didn't look so black. You know, especially when it starts to dry out in the sun, you can see it's lighter color. When it's damp, it's a lot darker. But I thought this looked pretty nice. You know, it's mixed in with some natural wood color. So I went with the black. I like the brown. I'm not really a fan of the red mulch, but in certain applications, I guess it looks pretty good. But the black looks more just like, well, kind of like dirt, but nice and clean. Now, bags of mulch are pretty darn convenient, I know, because you can just take them around to wherever you need and drop the bags, but they're kind of expensive when you add them up. You can buy bulk like this a lot cheaper, and I think what I'm going to do is hook this to the mule, this trailer, and really I can just pull the trailer around where I need the mulch, and it should work out pretty well. It's a big trailer to be moving around, but it's not so bad, and we have plenty of room around the property to move it. So I think that's going to work out great. So that's about it for today's projects. I've got a lot of other things to do, but I don't want to bore you with that. So thanks for watching today. I appreciate you being here, and I look forward to seeing you next time.